USC got ran flat over by the Big Ten last year. Let's just be honest about it. They got a rude awakening their first year in this conference. They were too finesse. They didn't want to run the football. They wanted to try to win games with an air raid mentality, which doesn't work in the conference that's rooted in physicality and hard-nosed football. And they also didn't have enough talent and depth on the line of scrimmage. And I feel this year, USC is about to be throwing a lot of humble pie at the Big Ten because they are better equipped to handle the physicality of Big Ten football. They should be way more balanced on offense. You should see them have a better blend of the run and pass because they ran the ball only 39% of the time last year, which was 129th in college football. And when you look at the teams that were in the top 4 of this conference, Indiana, Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State, they all were able to play complementary football because they could throw the football if necessary, but they also could run it really well. USC should be able to do that this year. They added 2 really good transfer portal running backs. You got Ramon Jordan, who you got from the JUCO ranks. He was the JUCO Offensive Player of the Year last season. He scored 20 touchdowns. He was averaging over 7 yards per attempt, and he had 1,600 rushing yards. And he's going to be a monster in Lincoln Riley's offense because he's going to be that power back that USC needs to be able to play complementary football in the Big Ten this year. They also picked up Eli Sanders, who's going to be more of a change of pace back for them as well. And they always are pretty decent at running back. Lincoln Riley always does a really good job of finding good backs, but I feel Ramon Jordan is going to be the best running back of the bunch that they have in that room. And we know that USC can throw the football with the best of them. It's just that they have to be able to use the run to help take some of that stress off of the passing game because you can't win the Big Ten with the air raid mentality that Lincoln Riley had last year. They threw the ball 60% of the time, which was the 5th most in college football, and that's just not a winning recipe for winning in this conference. This year, with Jaden Mayava being in his 2nd season in this Lincoln Riley offense, I expect him to take a major jump. And I feel he's one of the better breakout quarterbacks that isn't really being talked about a bunch. And the reason why I'm confident that Jaden Mayava is going to break out for USC this year is because he's playing for the quarterback whisperer. There is no QBU in college football. QBU is Lincoln Riley. Every quarterback that he gets automatically turns into gold. And I felt that Miller Moss last year wasn't really all that bad. So if you felt that Jaden Mayava could give the offense a lot more production at that position than what Miller Moss was giving them, then I feel the potential is throughout the roof when it comes to him. He has a really strong arm, and he's a really good athlete, so he also is going to contribute to the run game being a lot better than what it was. Lincoln Riley normally is accustomed to having a quarterback that also is able to make things happen with his legs, and that's what you get out of Jaden Mayava. And it also helps that he's going to be throwing to the 2nd best receiving duo in the Big Ten this year in Mekhi Lemon and Jacoby Lane. So with USC being able to play more complementary football, it should help them have way more success offensively this year than what we saw them have in 2024. And it's not as if Lincoln Riley has to completely shift from who he is. We know that he likes to throw the football. This is a Mike Leach guy. Let's not forget that he got his roots under Mike Leach somewhat. So, of course, he's always going to be a pass-first guy, but you got to be a lot better at staying committed to the ground game. So you got to have a better pass-to-run ratio. So if USC is about 55% pass and 45% run, that should help do them justice this year as opposed to being 70% throwing the football all over the yard, and then we're only going to run the ball 30% of the time. In this conference, you got to have a good rushing attack. You got to be able to commit to it. And if USC can do that, they should set themselves up for much more success in the Big Ten offensively this year. And defensively, I feel this is going to be a top 30 or better defense. You got D'Anton Lynn in year 2, and he did God's work with this defense his first year calling plays. Yeah, they still were a little bit vulnerable against the pass. They had the 86th worst pass defense in FBS last year, allowing 235 yards through the air, but that should improve this year. They got some really good players in the transfer portal to improve that secondary, such as DJ Harvey from San Jose State. They got Bishop Fitzgerald, who was really productive at NC State last year. Kamari Ramsey returns at safety as well. And with them having a more beefed up defensive line, that's going to help this pass defense out, because one way to help out your secondary is by not having to allow them to be in pass coverage for all day long, because that's what USC did with their inability to generate a consistent pass rush. And even when they had to send extra guys, that still didn't really do the job. This year, you should have a breakout year out of Cameron Fountain, who was a blue chip guy that USC got from Georgia's backyard a few years ago. He should have a breakout season along with defensive tackle Devin Tompkins. They got a true freshman and Jakeem Stewart that I see being a really big factor as well on that D-line. He already has a college football ready physique, so he should be part of that rotation. And they got some really good linebackers this year. So I expect for USC's defense to take a giant leap this year. And for them to play at the level that they did last year in year 1 under D'Anton Lynn, it's fair to assume that this defense can take an even bigger jump with how good of a defensive coordinator he is. And D'Anton Lynn has a lot of NFL roots. His dad coached in the NFL. His dad is a running backs coach, and he's all about physicality, dominating the line of scrimmage. So D'Anton Lynn should have that same mentality coaching up USC's defense in the second season. And this probably will be the last year that we see this dude on the Trojan sidelines, because if his defense ends up taking the jump that it's expected to make, then he probably ends up getting a head coaching job somewhere else. So USC, with them having a more balanced offense this year, with more emphasis on running the football, playing a more complementary style of play, and with this defense having more talent and depth on the line of scrimmage, they are better suited to handle the physicality of the Big Ten, because when you're playing this Big Ten schedule and week after week you're going up against guys that are just trying to ground and pound you to oblivion, you got to have the ability to match those teams' physicality, which USC is going to be able to do this year.